Well, hello there, everyone. Mr. Rooster Elite here. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna be. Remember, how I told y'all I freestyle my Tilo's talks? Not this time. This Tilo talk have so much information that I had to take notes. So y'all will probably know when I'm reading my notes because I'll start sounding a little bit more robotic. All right, I just wanted to warn y'all. I'm not trying to be unauthentic, but for the sake of learning purposes, I needed to take notes for this T-Loss talk. So there's a lot of information to cover, so I'm just go ahead and get right into it. I hope everyone's doing well. And with that being said, let's go. So zoos, right? That's just the whole topic. Zoos. I don't even know what the name of the video gonna be or anything, but I know that I want to talk about zoos. So what about zoos, alright? Well, what is the purpose of zoos? You can look this up. Zoos are meant to entertain and educate the public or people. You know what I mean? So with that being said, they're all you can look at it like the purpose of zoos is to help animals that are hurt or endangered, because zoos in principle they feel as though that um they are trying to protect the animals. Like, for example, there are some animals that actually thrive in zoos, such as pandas, because they don't have any real survival instincts to stay alive. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, in principle, zoos don't pose any real ethical problems, yet it poses contradictions and ethical concerns in practice. What do I mean by that? Because that sounded like a contradiction, right? All right. In principle, so that means the thought of zoos, you know what I mean? The thought of like protecting the animal and keeping them safe and all of that, that thought itself has no real ethical problems. However, in practice, like what you actually see, the way that some zoos actually treat their animals and everything, it can cause ethical concerns. So, with that being said, a lot of people they can probably argue, because I've actually had arguments with real people. They were talking about some, well, I mean, they're just animals, you know. But that's not the correct mindset to have. That's actually pretty ignorant, because we ourselves are animals. Like, there are animals that are just as intelligent as us. You know what I'm saying? And intelligence should not determine whether or not an animal is an animal, because we ourselves are animals. Human beings are an animal. Our animal species classification name is Homo sapien. So with that being said, the evidence that I get from this is mainly because we share animal cells, because we have eukaryotic cells. And this can be found based off of the phylogenetic. I don't even know if I'm saying. Hold on, let me look at my notes. Okay, so this is based off of the phylogenetic tree. And the phylogenetic tree shows the evolutionary relationship between species. So that's how we can see that humans and monkeys are closely related, basically, right? So on a base level, humans are more closely related to chimps and monkeys and shit like that. But once you start to actually boil it down to a more molecular level, you actually realize that humans are more related to venomous insects and or animals. And y'all can look this up. This is the part of the Tilo talk where I'm giving y'all information that y'all can actually go look up. None of this is theory yet. So boom. Oh shit, let me look at my notes because I lost my train of thought. Yes, so there's actually articles from this year 2021, you know, that explain, like, scientists have been exploring that humans are actually, or most like, they will probably, all right, they use the word probably, so humans will probably become uh uh venomous in the future because of, like I said, y'all will have to look this part up because I ain't even take notes on that. That could literally be a whole Tilo talk by itself. It was so much information. So y'all look that up. But the thing about it is, most scientists would agree that humans aren't very likely to become venomous. However, we do have the necessary toolkits to become venomous. What I think that means is, all right, this part take with a grain of salt. What I believe that means is ultimately humans will not become venomous unless there is some major change in the environment that would demand a change in our allele, right? So for those of you who do not understand what the allele is, an allele is basically a change in our genes as a result of a mutation found in the chromosomes. So, with that being said, it is very, very possible for humans to one day become venomous because of this knowledge. But what would actually be the catalyst towards this change, I don't know. So maybe it would have to be a mutation. From my understanding of the article actually explains that uh, humans actually possess the venomous traits and everything. It's just that we don't actually have it. So it's almost it's almost similar to like uh dominant and recessive traits. It's almost like the venomous traits that we do possess are very, very recessive and dormant in a way. So it seems as though we don't even need to use it right now. So it's very interesting concept indeed, you know. And the thing about the allele is that the allele actually has a frequency that determines the probability of the genome. Oh shit, I actually might have to look at my notes for this one, y'all, because I'm actually trying to not look at my notes as much. So let me see. So, all right, so the allele has a frequency that determines the probability of the genome. Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce that. Phenotype of the offspring. Basically, all right. So the next sentence explains what the hell that sentence meant because I didn't even understand that. I had to literally make a whole note on that sentence to explain what the hell that sentence was saying in layman's terms. So in layman's terms, right? Because I don't even understand that shit. But in layman's terms, all I'm doing is talking about the Punnett squares that we all have done in biology class using the dominant and recessive traits. Literally what I was just talking about, how I think that uh human that because we possess the traits to be venomous. However, we just aren't venomous. So the reason I believe that to be is it could be possible that maybe the trait is very recessive, so it seems as though we don't need it. Who knows? Well, scientists know. Like I said, y'all can do y'all research on this part. On this part, all of this, what I'm saying, is for y'all benefit. So now, whew, who's ready to get into some theory, my own personal beliefs about zoos? All right. I feel as though zoos are somewhat abusive. Like I said, some zoos do not treat their animals with the care that they need. You know what I'm saying? And in principle, zoos are a good thing. I'm not trying to say that they aren't. However, in practice, the ethical concerns that zoos proposes, and once again, y'all can do y'all research on this. Y'all, we're all older people here. The Tilo's talks are really not even for the children for real. Therefore, the more and there's really not no age limit on the Tilo's talks. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to discriminate, but there are just some things, some concepts that I talk about on the Tilo's talk part of my channel that if you aren't mature enough or open enough to go and look up information on your own, then you would get lost really quick, you know? So I do apologize for that. But boom. So for example, cheetahs, they aren't even believe it or not, cheetahs aren't even really found. They're not so common in the zoological facilities. But just because they're not so common, that don't mean that they're in there, because they can be in zoos. You can see a cheetah in the zoo, but they're just not in every zoo. So therefore, these are the type of problems that zoos show, because that zoos can bring up, because why is a cheetah in the U.S. when the cheetah's natural environment is grasslands and hot deserts? You know what I'm saying? There are other natural habitats for the cheetah as well, but that's just off the top of my head, y'all. Now, like I said, y'all can look these things up, but it's like, this is not the cheetah's natural habitat, the U.S. So cheetahs are also illegal in the U.S. Aside from being in zoo institutions. Like, you can't have a cheetah as a pet. The primary reason for that, I feel like, is because it is a dangerous animal. I mean, the damn cheetah could eat your ass. So I mean, it could eat another person, and then what'll happen? That shit go wild. Then we'll have to kill it. And then I'm not sure if cheetahs are endangered or not, but yeah, I'm not even gonna speak much on that, because I don't want to give y'all any misinformation. I just want to help y'all have a better understanding. And since I don't know, I'm not gonna just say things. So, with that being said, I also feel as though zoos can cause the creation of invasive species. So for those of you who do not know what an invasive species is, an invasive species is basically a foreign animal, or not even just an animal, it's a foreign organism. So an organism that is introduced to a new environment, and it would have a negative impact on the organisms that are originally from there. So you can think of that in the terms of like native species and non-native species, or what some people would call alien. I don't like that word, but that's the word. You can also say foreign. So I'll say foreign because I don't like the word alien. It's very degrading. But so with that being said, zoos can cause invasive species, and with these invasive species, they have a certain relationship with the native species, and that relationship is a survival of the fittest type relationship. And everyone understands that survival of the fittest is almost literal, so I don't even have to explain that. But the problem with that is that the invasive species can sometimes outcompete the native species for food and habitat. For example, the lake trout, which is a native species of the Great Lakes. Now I'm reading from my notes, y'all, in case y'all haven't realized. They would be an invasive species to the native cutthroat trout and the Wyoming for the native habitat. And in a case like this, the native species would be the cutthroat trout. However, y'all must understand that what I am saying, I'm not saying that zoos are intentionally trying to cause this chain of events to occur. But what I am saying is the primary cause of invasive species is due to human activities such as zoos. For example, right? We all understand how America was founded, right? The people of the British came over here to the Americas. So we were the invasive species to the Native Americans. You see what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that human activities, like invasive species, is primarily caused from human activities. So because we ourselves were an invasive species. Our ancestors, our forefathers, whatever y'all want to call them, they were an invasive species to the Native Americans. And as you already know how that ended with them, the invasive species outcompeted the native species for their habitat, which was the land. And we basically kicked them out their land. Y'all know the stories, and if y'all don't know the stories, y'all can go look these things up. But boom, and that's all I'm saying. Because what I'm saying right now is not misinformation at all. These are real things that are happening in the world. And if y'all don't do, and if we as a human species don't do our research, we're subject to just repeating the same mistakes over and over again in the future. We have to see these things and pay attention to these things, because the ethical concerns that can be brought out because of these factors, or these institutions such as a zoo or whatever, you know, it could be detrimental. So, with that being said, let's continue with the notes. Alright. So when an invasive species is introduced to a native habitat, they might not have any natural predators or controlling factors to control their population growth. So this obviously, y'all, this is a problem, because this can affect the carrying capacity of the invasive species. This is why there are more animals than most, because if a species get into an environment that they're not even really supposed to be in, now that they don't have any predators, because it's all a balance, y'all. Since they don't have any natural predators, they're not going to thrive in an environment that they weren't even supposed to be in the first place. So now you have a whole bunch of one species, you know what I'm saying? Because it's obvious, some animals, there's just way too many of them on this planet. I'm not gonna bring any names, Homo sapiens, but but it's a real thing that happens. The native species may not evolve the defenses against the invasive species. Therefore, they could lose the war against the land with the invasive species. And all I'm doing is referencing what happened all these years ago, when our forefathers, our ancestors, took the land, took took the land from the natives. Because this is a thing that actually happened. You got certain invasive species like feral pigs that have been reported to bring diseases to the natives, and they weren't properly prepared to fend off against them. So now the natives are gonna die off. It's the same concept to when the reason why they used Africans or black people, because a lot of people don't identify themselves as African, so I'm not gonna discriminate. But anyway, the reasons why they used the darker pigmentation people for slavery was because their genes were stronger and more fit to deal with the diseases that the Europeans brought over to the Americas. Because every other species, they would actually die off. These are facts, y'all. Y'all can look these things up. I'm not trying to give anyone any misinformation. I'm trying to help y'all understand, because a lot of people, they don't know these things, and it's crazy, because a lot of this is not talked about in schools. I had to learn these things on my own. Like before doing this Tilo talk, I did like so much research. That's why it's like fresh on my mind. That's why I'm able to talk about all this without looking at my notes. I'm glancing at them and then looking back up. I don't think I actually started to sound robotic yet, so that's good. I feel very authentic right now, and that's why I keep getting off topic for a quick second, just to show y'all just how authentic I am. Because that's one thing I don't like about some YouTube content that is informative. It's like they're so, what's the word I'm looking for, robotic. It's almost like it's staged, like it's scripted. And that's why I definitely like freestyling my T-Lo's talks, because I don't need to have a script or anything. If I mess up, I mess up, like we're humans. We're gonna mess up sometimes. But I mean, I understand why other YouTubers do it, but just because I understand it don't mean I have to like it. There's a difference. We can understand each other and still not like, the concept of what we do. And oh shit, I had this in my notes. I already covered the damn, that's crazy. I was talking about how the European brought disease to the Americas. This is in my notes. This is crazy, y'all. Like, you see, I ain't even have to look at my notes. Like, these things are just coming out of my head because it's all correlating. Like, I don't need a script. I'm amazing. I wish I had a face cam. I wish I could have seen what I did right there. But real talk, because the video is about to get ready to end. Ultimately, I feel as though zoos shouldn't be shut down. However, I do feel as though some type of change or at least some type of awareness needs to be brought to these ethical concerns that the zoological institutes. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. I promise you, I'm not even looking at my notes right now. But I don't know how to say that word. But the thing about it is we are animals. And we have no right to try to play God and aid the animals to survive. Right? So, you know what? I scratched that. I do think zoos should be shut down. This is my personal opinion. YouTube, do not give me a strike on my personal opinion. Everyone has one. And what I'm about to say is based off of fact. Because my thing is that if an animal is endangered, right? Guess what? Before humans were even on this planet, animals were becoming endangered, dying off, becoming extinct. New animals were being created. This is just how life works. So who are we to try to be like, oh, we're trying to help the species and keep them safe? What the hell do they need? They don't need our help because life has a way, yin and yang has a way of keeping the balance. There's a delicate balance that the world will always have and be in, and with or without humans. Human intervention is not needed, so therefore we do not have to play God and try to help these animals survive, because if they survive, they survive. If they don't, they don't. And it is literally that simple. And yes, it sounds a little harsh, but guess what? The Ice Age didn't give a fuck about how harsh the environments was on the animals. You know what I'm saying? Uh, the the Young Dryas impact theory, or the biblical Great Flood, as a lot more people are familiar with. That didn't give a fuck. That didn't give a one lick of shit about how the animals felt or any of that. You know what I'm saying? So yes, it seems harsh, but that's just how life is a harsh thing to have to be in and go through. So with that being said, endangered and dying off the face of the planet is not as bad as we would assume it to be. Mainly for the simple fact that it's been happening for long before even humans were here. So I mean, I'm just saying we gotta also think about these things. So, with this fact in mind, we don't need zoos to aid animal survival because life itself has a yin and yang relationship that will always balance itself out with or without our intervention. And that's about it. That's all I got for this Tilo talk, y'all. I hope y'all really enjoyed this because I did a lot of research and I did a lot to ensure that I gave y'all as much correct information as possible. If I was wrong about anything, do tell me in the comments. I don't mind being wrong. I'm open to any conversation that y'all want to have. So just let me know, and I promise y'all, I'm not gonna be mad. Why would I let someone else control how I feel? And I love you all. Make sure y'all stay learning. With that being said, I just died, and I will see you all in the next one, and I will see you all later.